Do you really believe you can leave your rosary just anywhere, as if it were no different from a spoon left on the table or a cloth forgotten in a corner? Many people place it on the kitchen counter beside the television remote or let it slip into the folds of their bedsheets, believing it makes no difference. Then they wonder why their prayers seem unanswered, why heaven feels silent, why miracles never come knocking. They stretch their hands toward heaven, yet feel only emptiness. But I tell you now, the reason is far closer than you think. After years of contemplation, the Lord showed me a painful truth. Even devout souls often make a small mistake, one that seems insignificant. But that mistake closes the gates of grace in their homes. They treat the rosary as if it were a common object, a lifeless ornament without dignity or reverence. And then they ask why discord reigns, why illnesses persist, why money vanishes, why their children drift from God. I witnessed this in my own convent. A young sister, once aflame with devotion, began neglecting her rosary. She left it anywhere, on the floor by her bed, on dusty shelves mixed with worn garments. Her prayer life became dry, her heart cold, and temptations tormented her. When she came to me in tears, I held up her dirty, worn rosary and whispered, "This is the state of your soul." Neglecting the weapon heaven had placed in her hands had opened the door to spiritual ruin. In countless homes I've visited, I've seen rosaries thrown on sofas beside magazines, tossed on nightstands among pills and phones, or hung in kitchens as mere decoration. And in those homes, peace is absent even if laughter fills the air. Behind closed doors, there are unspoken arguments, rebellious children, chronic illness, addictions, sadness that clings like dust. Where the rosary is not honored, Mary does not reign, and where Mary does not reign, the enemy sows discord with ease. If your heart feels heavy as you hear this, if you recognize you've treated the rosary carelessly, don't turn away. Heaven's warning is reaching you at this very moment for a reason. The place where you put your rosary is not a small detail. It reveals whether you honor heaven or treat its gifts with indifference. The rosary is not an ornament or a necklace. It is the chain that binds the enemy, the ladder through which angels descend with grace. I once entered a family home in Ávila, a hard-working family who attended Sunday Mass faithfully. Despite their devotion, sorrow clung to them. The father drank heavily. The mother cried at night. The children constantly quarreled. When I stepped inside, the first thing I saw was their rosary hanging behind the door, covered in cobwebs, abandoned like a forgotten relic. Their shame was deep when I asked when they had last touched it. They couldn't remember. That very day, I taught them what I now reveal to you. I showed them where the rosary belonged, explained why that place mattered, and reminded them that the rosary represents the presence of the Virgin Mary herself in their home. A month later, that family had transformed. The father left his drinking behind. The mother's tears turned to joy. The children embraced each other with affection. Small miracles had begun the day they honored the rosary in the manner heaven desired. But before you learn where the rosary should be placed, understand this. None of this is superstition or magic. It is about reverence, order, and recognizing what is sacred. God is a God of order, and blessings flow where spiritual order is honored. Look around your home. Where is your rosary now? Is it lost in clutter, buried among worldly objects that have no eternal meaning? Or is it placed with dignity as a declaration that your home belongs to heaven? Every day your rosary lies forgotten in the wrong place is a day the gates of heaven remain partly closed to your home. Every night it lies unused is a night when angels cannot fully guard your family. Time is running short, temptations are increasing, darkness thickens in the world, and your home desperately needs grace. I once saw something that changed me forever. A young nun in our convent woke at midnight screaming from a nightmare in which she was attacked by demons. Trembling, she confessed that her rosary had fallen to the floor during her evening prayer, and she had been too tired to pick it up. I told her the truth. Her negligence had opened a door, allowing darkness to disturb her rest. Heaven gives us weapons, but they must be honored. Now listen with an attentive heart. There are 3 sacred conditions for placing your rosary, and very few people know them. These conditions open a direct channel of grace into your home. The first condition is elevation. Never place your rosary low or near the ground. The Queen of Heaven does not dwell among dust and neglect. When you place the rosary in low or ordinary places, within reach of pets, shoes, or careless hands, you are saying that Mary does not deserve honor in your home, and when she withdraws, the enemy enters easily into the vacuum left behind. The second condition is visibility. You cannot hide your rosary in drawers or closets. Hiding your rosary hides your faith. Your children learn from what they see, and if they never see faith honored openly, they learn that God is hidden, secondary, optional. I knew a mother whose teenage son had abandoned church. She wept to me that nothing she did seemed to help. When I asked how faith was lived in her home, she confessed she kept all religious objects in her bedroom because her husband disliked them. She chose a man's comfort over God's presence, and now her son followed the same path, rejecting what he never saw honored. A visible rosary declares that the home belongs to Mary and that heaven governs its walls. The devil cannot bear its sight, it burns him. That is why he tempts you to forget it, hide it, or treat it as a decoration. The third condition is companionship. The rosary must rest near a sacred image, preferably of the Virgin Mary or Christ crucified. A rosary placed alone on a blank wall among secular decorations cannot draw miracles. Prayer needs a destination, a face toward which it rises. A rosary placed near a holy image creates a small altar, a point of contact between heaven and earth. Do not say you lack the means to have a sacred image. These days, images of Mary and Christ are available everywhere. What many lack is not money, but priority. People spend freely on entertainment, clothes, and passing pleasures, yet hesitate to invest in what affects the salvation of their families. There is something else few know. Heaven once revealed to me that at midnight, when silence blankets the world, the place where your rosary rests becomes a resting point for angels. If the rosary is elevated, visible, and near a sacred image, angels descend and bless every corner of the home. But if the rosary lies forgotten or dishonored, the angels pass by. They do not linger where reverence is absent. One night I saw in a vision guardian angels gathering around a properly honored rosary, forming a circle of light that spread through the house as its inhabitants slept. But in homes where the rosary lies neglected, the angels' blessings cannot settle. After you place your rosary according to these 3 conditions, one final step remains: consecrating that place. Clean that spot as if preparing a church altar. Sprinkle holy water upon it, marking it as territory belonging to heaven alone. Holy water forms a boundary the enemy cannot cross, a line that separates the sacred from the profane. Only then does the rosary rest upon a true throne, ready to draw grace and protection into your home. After sprinkling holy water over the chosen spot, place the sacred image first, whether of the Virgin Mary or of Christ. Let that image occupy the center, as the heart of your spiritual altar. Then, with reverence, take the rosary in your hands. Do not lay it down carelessly. Kiss it first. Kiss it as you would kiss the hand of the Virgin herself if she were standing before you. And as you set it in its place, whisper with sincerity, "My mother, here is your throne in my home. From this place, reign over my family, protect us, guide us, intercede for us." These simple words, joined with your reverent action, have immense power. Many families who followed this teaching exactly as given wrote to me with astonishment. One woman said that her husband, cold and distant for years, softened that very night, approached her, and asked forgiveness for past wounds. Another family reported that their son, sick for months with no diagnosis, began healing visibly 3 days after they enthroned the rosary. These are true testimonies, not exaggerations, not fantasies. When you obey spiritual law, heaven responds with precision. But hear this warning with fear of God. Once you place the rosary in its consecrated spot, you must not move it without necessity. Oh, not take it one day to carry in your purse. Leave it forgotten on a table, then return it later. If you need a rosary to carry with you, keep a separate one. The consecrated rosary must remain in its place like a sentinel that never abandons its post. Each time you move it without reason, its spiritual influence weakens, the angels assigned to that spot become confused, the protection around your home thins, creating openings the enemy quickly exploits. I saw this painfully in a family that had begun receiving beautiful graces. For 3 weeks after placing their rosary correctly, their home filled with peace. Arguments ceased. Prosperity returned. Joy blossomed. But one day, wanting to clean thoroughly, the mother moved the rosary and placed it temporarily on the kitchen table. She forgot to return it for 2 days. In those 48 hours, arguments reappeared. Her husband suffered a small accident, and one child fell sick. The moment she returned the rosary to its sacred place, tranquility restored itself. Do you understand now? These are not superstitions but spiritual laws as real as gravity. Obey them, and heaven flows into your home. Break them, and disorder rushes in like a storm. You must also be prepared for ridicule. There will be people in your house who laugh when they see you making these changes. They will say you are exaggerating, falling into fanaticism, following outdated ideas. Listen carefully. Such voices do not come from heaven. They are echoes the enemy uses to discourage you, to stop you, to steal blessings that are on the threshold of your life. Do not engage in arguments. Do not explain yourself endlessly. Simply say you are obeying a spiritual teaching you received. Remain firm. When those same people witness the transformation in your peace and your home, they themselves will come asking what you did. Now listen closely, for I am about to reveal a fatal mistake, a mistake that cancels all your efforts if you make it. You can have your rosary placed perfectly, elevated, visible, beside a sacred image, blessed, consecrated. But if you commit this one error, everything collapses. That error is spiritual silence, treating the rosary as a decoration, placing it beautifully but never praying with it. I have seen this countless times. Homes with perfectly arranged rosaries, but months pass without anyone touching them, and then the family wonders why nothing changes, why trials persist, why miracles do not come. Heaven taught me this truth deeply. A rosary in its sacred place is like an antenna connecting your home to heaven. But an antenna without signal is useless. A rosary without prayer is dead, an object with no power. Prayer animates it, activates its grace, sends angels into motion, and draws the Virgin's intercession. Each bead you touch ignites a heavenly circuit. Each decade opens the gates of divine favor. There was once a noble family in Spain who displayed a magnificent golden rosary adorned with pearls, blessed by a bishop. It rested on a splendid altar beside an image of Mary brought from Rome. But the family lived in constant strife. The children resented each other. The parents barely spoke. Illness roamed freely. When they asked for guidance, I asked a simple question. When was the last time you prayed this rosary? Their silence was their answer. It had been a year. A beautiful rosary without prayer is no more powerful than a stone. So understand this instruction, not as a suggestion but as a command from heaven. Pray the rosary before your consecrated space at least once a week. Once a week is the minimum requirement to keep the heavenly channel active. If you can pray daily, wonderful. If 2 or 3 times a week, even better. But never less than once. And do not say you lack time. You have time for television, for scrolling endlessly, for worrying, gossiping, and trivial conversations, but not 15 minutes for the salvation of your family. That is not lack of time, that is lack of spiritual priority. If my words trouble you, good. That discomfort means heaven is stirring your conscience. I am not here to flatter you. I am here to awaken you from spiritual sleep. When you kneel to pray the rosary at that holy place, do not pray hurriedly or mechanically. That is not prayer, that is insult. You must pray with intention. First, fix your gaze on the sacred image beside the rosary. Look into the eyes of Mary or Christ, as though their living presence stands before you, because spiritually it does. Remain in silence for a moment, allowing your heart to quiet. Second, speak aloud the names of your family members, one by one. Present each soul to heaven. Spoken prayer has creative power. Third, Ask for a specific miracle. Do not be vague. Heaven responds to precise petitions, not generalities. I recall a man facing bankruptcy. I taught him what I am teaching you. For 3 months, every Sunday, he prayed before his rosary, asking for the exact amount needed to save his business. In the 3rd month, he received an unexpected payment, precisely the amount he named. This is not coincidence. This is obedience unlocking grace. But know this, the moment you begin praying regularly before your consecrated rosary, spiritual resistance will rise. You will feel sudden fatigue, headaches, unexpected visits, household chaos, urgent distractions, all attempts of the enemy to stop you from praying. Persist. Resistance is proof that your prayer is breaking chains. And now the deeper secret. The rosary not only protects your home from future harm, but also breaks the invisible chains of the past. Curses, generational wounds, spiritual knots binding your family for days or centuries. But this power fully awakens only when prayer is joined with sacrifice. Penance is the seal that amplifies the rosary's strength. Fast at least 1 day a week. Offer a meal. Offer discomfort. Offer something you love. Give up some worldly habit, an hour of social media, a TV program, idle entertainment. Replace it with scripture, silence, or service. These small sacrifices, offered with intention, shake heaven. I knew a mother whose son was enslaved by addiction. Nothing helped. Treatment, counseling, tears, pleas. At last, she learned what I now teach you. She enthroned her rosary, prayed daily, fasted until mid-afternoon, and sacrificed her favorite show every day for 6 months. In the 6th month, her son returned home in tears, begging for help and ready to change. Today, he is healed. A father, a testimony to the power of a praying mother's rosary joined with sacrifice. This is the power entrusted to you. Use it well. If these words make you uneasy, if they stir discomfort in your heart, I ask you plainly, how desperate are you truly? Do you long for a miracle, or do you merely desire the illusion of one? Are you prepared to embrace what is necessary, or do you seek some effortless charm that costs you nothing? Faith without sacrifice is empty. Prayer without works is meaningless. Devotion without action is dead. If you are unwilling to commit fully, then do not pretend that your faith exists. Show your sincerity with deliberate acts. Like this message, share it immediately, and declare in the comments, I accept making sacrifices for my miracle. Let this declaration be your covenant before heaven, a testimony of your willingness to journey the path of obedience, penance, and true faith. I must caution you further. Many, when small miracles begin to unfold in their lives, succumb to a subtle temptation to relax. They grow complacent, believing that the work is done, that the blessings are secured, and they ease the discipline that brought them thus far. This is perilous. Spiritual triumph requires steadfastness. Just as a patient cured too early relapses, the soul that abandons its pious routine is vulnerable to returning trials. I've witnessed this in convents and in homes alike. A sister, disciplined in prayer and fasting for 6 months, experienced peace, only to fall into renewed temptations when she eased her observances. Her trials returned with multiplied force, and she had to rebuild her spiritual foundation from scratch, learning once more the profound cost of consistency. Therefore, when you begin to see improvement in your life, when you notice blessings manifesting, do not relent. Strengthen your prayers, intensify your sacrifices, deepen your gratitude. This is not the end, beloved soul. It is the beginning of a far greater work God desires to accomplish in your life, provided you remain faithful in both abundance and scarcity, in receiving and in waiting. Confession is another pillar you must not neglect. No matter how meticulously you position your rosary, no matter how diligently you pray, no matter the sacrifices you embrace, mortal sin will render all your efforts null, as though pouring water into a vessel with a great leak. Sin blocks grace, and without confession, all other devotions falter. If you have not confessed for months or years, if heavy sins weigh upon your conscience, you must first cleanse your soul. Approach the sacrament without hesitation. Shame is the devil's final snare to bind your spirit. Which do you choose? A brief discomfort before a priest, who is bound by God's secrecy and mercy, or eternal shame before the throne of God? The priest will guide, absolve, and rejoice in your return. I have witnessed the liberation that follows confession countless times. Men and women, burdened with sins they believed unique and insurmountable, found their lives transformed once the chains were released, their health improved, their relationships healed, their paths clarified, their homes filled with peace. Go, do not delay. Even if it requires effort to seek confession, the liberation is worth every sacrifice. Now, I reveal the final secret, the master key that binds all the teachings together. Without this act, all else remains incomplete, and miracles will remain elusive. You must consecrate your entire family to my Immaculate Heart before the sacred Rosary you have prepared. Personal devotion alone is insufficient. The spiritual welfare of your household demands this total entrustment. This is no mere symbolic gesture or decorative prayer. It is a spiritual covenant with tangible consequences in the unseen world, altering the very fabric of your home's spiritual reality. Gather your family, all who dwell under your roof, and if they resist, do so for them anyway. As the spiritual head, you possess the authority given by God to act for their good. Kneel before the Rosary and sacred image. Lift the Rosary in your hands and declare, Mary, my mother and mother of my family, today I consecrate to your Immaculate Heart every member of this home. I give you my husband, I give you my children, I give you this house and all within it. From this day forward, you are the owner and lady of this place. Reign over us, protect us from evil, guide us along the path of your Son. Accept this family as your own, and allow none of us to be lost. Amen. Kiss the Rosary, return it to its sacred place, and behold the transformation. Angels acknowledge this family as wholly theirs. Demons retreat, knowing they cannot touch what is sealed under the mantle of the Queen of Heaven. This consecration marks your home with a heavenly seal, invisible yet profoundly real. I once received a vision, 2 houses similar in appearance, each with Christian families and rosaries. In one home, the family consecrated themselves to my care. A bright light enveloped it, angels guarded every corner, and a protective mantle shrouded the roof. The other house, without consecration, had no lasting protection. Dark shadows lingered, seeking points of entry. When I inquired of the Lord, he said, Consecration distinguishes a home voluntarily given to my mother from one that merely belongs to me by baptism. Free will is respected, but special protection is granted to those who voluntarily submit to her care. You have heard all that is required. You know the proper placement of your Rosary, the necessity of prayer, fasting, confession, and sacrifice. Only your obedience remains. Stop living a lukewarm life. Cease the mediocrity that endangers your family's spiritual welfare. Subscribe, like, and declare publicly your commitment. I consecrate my family to Mary today. Your words strengthen your resolve and inspire others. I will share a testament, a broken family, a father lost in alcohol, a mother in despair, 3 sons in rebellion. Their grandmother, frail yet determined, followed these teachings with fidelity. She positioned the Rosary, prayed daily with fasting, confessed her long-abandoned sins, and consecrated each family member by name. The first 3 months bore no visible results, yet she persisted. On the 3rd month, the eldest son returned, repentant, ready for change. Weeks later, the father accepted rehabilitation, and the moth renewed her devotion. In 6 months, the family was transformed, living witnesses to the Rosary's power when combined with obedience, sacrifice, and full consecration. I must caution you further, once consecration is made, trials may intensify. The enemy, seeing his dominion wane, will attack with greater ferocity. You will encounter hardships, confusion, and opposition. This is not a sign of failure, but confirmation that your efforts threaten the powers of darkness. Persist, intensify prayers, fasting, and devotion. Stand firm in consecration, and the storm will give way to unprecedented peace and blessings. I have observed families, on the brink of collapse after consecration, who remained faithful, prayed and fasted, only to receive divine intervention at the precise moment of greatest despair. These trials are the final test of your faith and perseverance, proving your commitment and readiness for the grace that follows. Maintain this sacred practice with diligence. Monthly, clean the space of your rosary and sacred image, replenish holy water, and offer prayers of thanksgiving. Every act of care renews your covenant. Periodically renew your family consecration publicly, whether semi-annually or annually, to reaffirm your commitment and inspire your household. Teach your children early the value of prayer, devotion, and consecration, ensuring this practice endures across generations. I have witnessed families maintaining this tradition for centuries, protected, peaceful, and visibly blessed, with children guided safely by the light of faith. Everything I have imparted is not invention or fancy. These truths were revealed to me through years of contemplation, suffering, prayer, and obedience. I have paid dearly to receive this wisdom, and now I offer it freely with one demand: take it seriously, act, and do not waste this opportunity. Your rosary must be elevated, visible, next to a sacred image, blessed, prayed to regularly, accompanied by fasting and sacrifice, preceded by confession, and sealed with full family consecration. Each component is essential. Omission weakens the work. Now, the choice rests with you. You may return to your prior life, letting spiritual mediocrity persist, or rise, act decisively, and implement these teachings. The difference is the chasm between struggle and continuous blessing, between vulnerability and protection, between a lost family and one secured in God's mercy. I, Teresa of Ávila, have delivered this message with heavenly authority. I have fulfilled my mission. The responsibility is yours. Do not claim ignorance. Seize this moment. Share this message widely, that every family in need may hear it. Obey, act, and may the mercy of God guide and protect you in all your endeavors.